The Sky is Not the Limit is our most recent temporary exhibition, and it tells the story of four of Delta's African American pilots, two who have retired and two pilots who are currently flying.
In Vietnam, as it is in the Air Force, that's all we talk about. There's airline flying. What are we going to do after Air Force career? Fly after airlines? If so, which one? And at that time, Delta was not a major carrier. Delta was looked upon as being a regional carrier that had a great relationship between management and the pilot group. And I spoke to a retired Eastern guy who flew for Air America, and he told me, he said, look, when you get out, you go right to Delta, because that airline one day will be the best.
Well, a few years ago, I met with Andrea Jordan and John Bailey, and they had suggested doing a spotlight. We have a area of the museum where we spotlight one employee, and they had told me or asked me about maybe doing a spotlight on Sam Graddy, who was the first African American pilot for Delta. And in talking about his story and talking to John, who was also a pilot for Delta, I just kind of thought, well, this really deserves a little bit larger treatment. And so that kind of began the seed of thinking about how could we tell this story, a larger story about African American pilots at Delta.
I think by exposing young people who come through the museum, that perhaps we might spark an interest in aviation.
Now, I'll tell you something about the stretch 8. It is so long, it's a long, narrow tube, and it can get in enough turbulence that if you sit on the back jump seat, the airplane bends, so you would not be able to see the cockpit because the airplane bent that much.
I asked them all the same questions to kind of get it to focus. So what planes do they fly? Where do they do their training? What other experiences do they have? Just to kind of keep the display a little simpler, because all these stories were going to be a little bit different.
I remember Dana when she first came out of the Air Force, and I tried real hard to get her with Delta, because a lot of airlines were trying to get her, and I feel fortunate we were able to get Dana. Stephanie came with the Northwest merger. But even before she went to Northwest, I had actually tried to recruit Stephanie for Delta. But yes, I think that's part of my focus in having Dana and Stephanie was the exposure of females. So we have the African American component, but also the female component.
It's the people that make this airline special, and it's the people that make this museum special. And I hope that as I continue here developing exhibits, that we're always the people are going to be the focus of what we're talking about. Because without people, none of these planes get off the ground. No one gets where they need to go safely. It's all about a well-trained employee base.